This episode is brought to you through a partnership with Suncoast Credit Union.
Welcome to the Ignite Project, a Polk County Public Schools podcast made for teachers by teachers. Teachers of all experience levels need each other's enthusiasm and passion to fuel an ongoing desire to do what it takes to meet the needs of our students. And that's what this podcast is all about. Be energized by their enthusiasm to ignite a love for teaching while they challenge others to join them in their work. Join us now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ignite Project podcast. I am Tomeka Thompson, Teacher Engagement Coordinator, and I'm so excited that you are here today to meet our special guest. She is none other than Jan Urankar, who is a teacher of 29 years of experience. Currently, Jan is teaching 12th grade reading at Ridge Community, and before that, she was teaching 10th grade, and she's been teaching all kinds of things. So we're just so excited to have you here with us today, Jan. I know from meeting you at Leading from the Classroom, you were a member of Cohort 2, that you are really passionate about what you are passionate about. And I'm glad you're going to be sharing some of that today. I just want our listeners to put their seatbelts on because Jan's going to be talking about some of the things she does in her class with her students, how she's encouraging her peers, her colleagues to be doing the same thing. And she's going to be talking to us about a program she started at Ridge Community High School. Everyone deserves to graduate. So welcome, Jan. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, Tomeka. I'm really glad to be here with you.
I'm really glad you are here. We're going to jump right in, Jan, because there's so much that we want to share with our listeners today. And as I was saying, you started a program at your school. Everyone deserves to graduate high school. So I know you were teaching 10th grade reading, and during the school year, a few years back, you transitioned to 12th grade reading. So you walk in this 12th grade reading class and you see these worried student faces, and share with us a little bit about that experience, what you saw when you got there.
It was a real change. I wasn't sure what to expect. I had never taught 12th grade reading. In fact, when I started in education, I didn't even want to teach reading at all.
Okay.
Not too many people know that. But my father said the more you know, the better you can do and more marketable you are. So when it was offered back in undergrad that I could get reading certification, I went ahead and did it.
Wow.
So here I am teaching elementary, reading in the content, and then 10th grade reading for high stakes, of course. And 12th grade reading was escaping me because there was no real FSA. It was only 10th grade. So I walked into the room and I had probably 30 students at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, they were all sitting and chatting when I walked in. They weren't sure what to make of me, I don't think. They knew nothing about me. It was only my second year at Ridge. And I asked them a little bit about themselves because I thought I should know about, who I'm dealing with. They were not really friendly at first. They were upset. They wanted to know why they had to be in a reading class again. Why was I there? What was I going to do for them?
Oh, wow.
If they hadn't passed the FSA in their 10th year, and then when they took it twice in 11th year, they hadn't passed it. And then they took it in the fall of their 12th year and hadn't passed it. What could I do, at that point to help them?
Wow. So it doesn't sound like they were very hopeful. So when you are teaching 10th graders, you're teaching students who are going to be taking that 10th grade reading test for the very first time. When you transition to 12th grade, those students have taken it 6, maybe more times, and you show up and they don't sound very hopeful. No. At all. Not at all. What were you feeling? What was that transition like for you?
Well, I enjoy changes. I always have, and I enjoy a challenge. And this was going to be a challenge, I could tell right from the beginning. So I usually hit the ground running. I don't wait. And it didn't take me long to figure out in my mind what I needed to do to get started to help these students. Because in my mind, they were not going to fail.
Oh, wow.
This was not going to happen. They were all going to graduate that year. Whether they liked it or not, that's just the way it was going to be.
Got it. So every teacher, I think, is safe to assume wants their students to excel. We want our students to do well. But in my conversations with you, Jan, it seems so much deeper than just like this surface level aspiration. It really seems like one of your core values and really drives what you do in the classroom. What has inspired that passion that's like relentless, like you will pass? Like that's not going to be an option.
They're all smart. They're creative, they're inspirational, they're fun-loving. They know how to learn. They know how to read. They just need to tweak things a little bit. And that should not keep them back.
Wow. I love that. So you go into the classroom, you are insistent that we're going to do this. Mm-hmm. You're going to pass. Take us through step by step. What you did after that, showing up with these worried, hopeless faces.
Yeah. Well, the first thing you have to do is know where they're at. So I wanted to know what they thought, and they shared all their thoughts with me. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing is they didn't like taking it on a computer.
Okay.
They can read. So why, can't I pass the reading test? And they were going through a list with me. And then I said, okay, well, now we need to know your baseline. Where are you at on the reading scale? Mm-hmm. So I gave them a baseline test. And they could read. They were able to read. So then I had to say, okay, it's got to be something between there that we've got to connect those dots and get them to, move forward. So I said, if they can't do the FSA, there has to be something. And I did go on the DOE website, and I saw that they were accepting ACT Concordant. Walked into the room, and I said, okay, you're going to pass the ACT. This is how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And I got them used to it by doing the 6-way paragraph, which are little tiny paragraphs that usually used in elementary school.
Okay.
But they have it going all the way up through high school. And after that, when they got used to focusing and the timing, then I gave them, small passages. And I said to them, look, the FSA is 2 days, and it's a lot of time. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you a test. It's only 35 minutes, 40 questions. You can pass, and you can graduate. And they said, all right.
So that was the buy-in.
That was the buy-in.
Absolutely. Did you have to do anything to get your administrators to buy into your approach at this?
Well, at first, our administration didn't come around at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't come to the room. It was as though she either had confidence and she knew I was going to do this, or she wanted to see what I could do.
Got it.
But then as they passed, not only did the kids buy in totally to it, I'll never forget, it was Christmas Eve. And all of a sudden, I get a phone call from one of my students. He had just gotten his results that day. He was the very first to pass the ACT.
Wow. What a Christmas present.
It was a great Christmas for his family, too.
Yeah, most definitely.
And so I started shooting out emails to administration saying, and give the names and the subject title, passed. And that's how it got started.
Wow. I love that. I know something that's important to you is educating the whole child. So SAT is really important, passing, getting that concordant score. But tell us, define for us, what does that mean, educating the whole child?
Well, pre-pandemic, it was much different than now. Mm-hmm. So I'll share just a couple of things for both. Pre-pandemic, it was more of a student needed glasses, I saw a student that, couldn't read, and he didn't want to wear glasses. We knew this. So I had these readers that I purchased that were almost your color of red. Mm-hmm. And I walked over one day, and I put him on his face, and he looked at me and says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, just try these, see if it helps you, see the words a little bit." And he started laughing, and then the kids started laughing because, he looked so cute in these glasses. And one thing led to another, and he said, "Yes, I can read so much better." So every day he wanted to wear them. He wanted to wear them. Yeah.
Wow.
And he actually wore them the next time he took a test.
Good luck charm.
Yeah.
Good luck charm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So taking a look at not just academically where the students are insufficient or that progress, but noticing things about the students, like, how is the student coming to school? What are they interested in? What are their concerns?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some things you have to do is ask a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. And I do. Yeah. I ask questions constantly. I find out, who can't get the ride to come on a Saturday. And so usually I will pick them up. To get them to come to a Saturday test, you have to offer something. We all know kids like something.
Carrot.
Yes. So I'll go to Dunkin' Donuts on Saturday mornings, and I buy dozens of donuts, and they tailgate in the parking lot with me. And we all have donuts and drinks and play music, and yeah.
And so that's all before the test,
and that's
before they
all
go
before
in.
The test,
Wow.
so that it gets them relaxed, And then I pass out peppermints because peppermints increase your brain power, and pencils. And I always print out an extra form for them because you have to take your ACT with your picture to go in. And just in case they forget theirs, I always have an extra. And yes, it has saved a few of them from... And then they pass on that Saturday, and they're like so glad. Oh, thank you for having the extra form.
Yay, the hero for the day by way of donuts and having those extra forms. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So in your classroom, it sounds like you're nurturing this family environment with your students so that they are connecting with each other and with you.
We try.
Yeah.
We try. Yeah. They do connect with each other. We don't raise hands. We're more open style classroom. If they have a question, they can ask. If they want to ask another student a question, they don't have to, ask me, can I walk over? And they get to know each other. They really do get to know each other. I was very proud of my fifth period this year. Shout out to my fifth period. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Because when they came in, they didn't talk at all. They didn't want to do pair shares. They didn't want to work in groups. They just wanted to be by themselves and do their thing. Now they're teaching each other. They're doing everything. They're teaching me. We're going through the whole thing together. And it's been really fun to watch them grow like that. Yeah.
Are there some things that you would say, in addition to, having this family environment and seeing students grow, what are some of the other payoffs? What are some of the things that you're seeing from what's happening in your classroom?
Well, they do carry some of it to other classes. Yeah. And I do like that. They will talk to a teacher about maybe I could do this or that. I also get on the emails and ask other teachers, could you let so-and-so do something in your room about a passage? Trying to expand it. You guys in this leading of the classroom have taught me so much. Me so much.
Oh, wow.
And I can't thank you enough. I really can't, because what you teach me, I can go back and I can teach them. And they can be leaders.
Absolutely.
And that's important.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that. I was just reading a quote that says, we focus on the next generation of leaders, but we should be instead saying the now generation of leaders. So I thank you for sharing those leadership skills with your students. Earlier you mentioned about your students taking and not passing the FSA reading many times over, and I know in your classroom you're really reframing failure, right? So it's not probably what they've experienced in the past, rejection and feeling dejected by those experiences. How do you help them work through this notion that they are a failure so that they can really get some hope and think that they can achieve success on the ACT?
Yeah, I don't like the word failure.
I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't use that word in my room. And there are no failures in my room. No one. If they get a score back and they say, oh, I failed the test, I will look at them and say, you have failed nothing. There is no ability to fail. You just did not get the score that you wanted. I said, look where you were at the beginning of the year. You know, you had a 14, you now have an 18. Look at the growth that you've made. I mean, that's just, and then I have students too who, especially this close to graduation, are kind of on the edge.
Yeah.
And you need to give them a little extra hope and show them that maybe they scored an 18, but look how they've helped other students. Like I was sharing with you, this one boy that I have, and he has never passed.
Okay.
He still has only scored an 18, but what he has done for the other students in all the other classes is amazing. He made an error one day on a passage, and it was a simple error, one that many students make. They read the first half of a sentence, and they don't finish the sentence, so they think they've got the right answer, and they choose it. And then all of a sudden, I mark it wrong, and, you know, he comes racing up, and he wants to know how it's wrong, and surely, no, and then he shows me, and I go, but take a look. You didn't read the second half of that sentence. And he allowed me to show that on the document camera to all my classes, mention his name to help other students so they wouldn't make the same mistake.
Wow.
Yeah.
So using that mistake as a point of growth.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that story. And shout out to your student for being vulnerable enough to allow you to help other students by using his experience.
Well, I became very vulnerable too. I didn't share this with you, but I did share it with my students. I wanted to see what it was like for them. So about 4 weeks ago, I signed up for a class for ACT. And I took the class on 2 Saturdays and had to take an ACT test. And my heart was pounding.
My heart's pounding right now.
And my hands were sweating.
Yeah.
And I felt just as if I was 17 years old sitting in that room. And when it was all said and done, I went back on Monday and said to them, oh, guys, it was hard. It was really, really hard. And it gave them, I think, a little bit of comfort to know that it doesn't matter what age you are, it can be hard.
Yeah. What empathy now you'll have for students after sitting in their seat. You know, we talk about empathy is walking in someone else's shoes. You have literally sat in their seat.
Yes.
And now can speak from that vantage point.
Yes, I can.
That's so brave.
And I might not take it again for a while.
I think this is one experience that'll last. This will be enduring. We won't have to do this one again. As a teacher wanting to instill some of these concepts in my students, right? Reframing what we think about failure as a mistake that's going to help me grow and how even if you don't get the score you wanted, you can still do things to help others in the classroom. So just thinking about some of those fundamental things that are core to what you're doing in your classroom, what advice would you give to other teachers? So to teachers listening right now, whether they are kindergarten teachers, 7th grade teachers like you, and they teach 12th grade students, what's some of the practical advice you would give to help those teachers?
Well, I think the first thing that really helped is when I realized that I had to become very focused. You're there for a purpose, and you really need to make the purpose clear to your student. And once they are in that room, then I would start timing them. I have been timing for a long period of time. And the time helps them to pace themselves.
Got it.
They don't look around as much, and get off task. And then I would have them read every day. Okay. And I would have them map all their reading out. One of the things that the FSA, the math they have to write things.
Yes.
The reading, they don't.
Okay.
So for math, they can stay on point. So I taught them that if they would map out site evidence, go back and find every single answer and write, that they would pass. And our student government gentleman, about 4 years ago, he was the president, and he had 4 papers full of writing, and he passed.
Wow.
And he came in the next year and talked to all my students and said, what she's telling you is true. Because, they don't believe me. No, they don't believe me. If you write everything,
it makes a difference.
It does make a difference.
And that's certainly a skill that they can transfer to other classes and in
to
other areas.
others.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you brought a few things with you today that you want to share.
I do.
So tell us a little bit about what you have there.
Well, shout out to the pre-K, K, and all to 12th grade teachers, because every teacher gets them to the graduation point. So, of course, why wouldn't they graduate?
Absolutely. It's a collaborative effort.
It is. So as soon as they pass a test, I give them a set and strip, which is very K.
Yeah, very primary.
Isn't it? Mm-hmm. And they decorate, and they can do it any way they want. And then we put it up on the wall. And as the wall fills up with the names, it motivates everybody. Oh, I want my name on the wall. As soon as you pass the test, right? And then at the end of the year, all of my students will put their hand on canvas.
Wow.
This goes back 10 years. So I have 10 years worth of canvases.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And they overlap. I have kids who told me when I'm an NBA basketball star, I'm going to come back and look at my hand. Yes.
That's incredible.
Yes. And they will write their names. So I know, and
There's
I can
a record of their success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then I just want to give a little shout out to a couple of students who came here in February. One is the girl from Venezuela, and she has passed ACT.
Congratulations to her.
I know. Isn't that
amazing.
awesome? Yep. And another one is one of my boy students. He's a twin. I have both of them in my 6th period. And he and his twin came from Brazil.
Okay.
And he has passed the ACT.
Wow.
But his brother is still working on it.
Yes.
So his brother's going to have to step up a little bit.
So that he can put his name on a
That's
sentence
right.
strip.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that.
So.
So Jan, as we are closing here today, if you could pick just one area in education where you would like to spark change and ignite the shift in the way we think and our behavior and who we are, what would that be? So finish this sentence for me. I want to ignite
all students to graduate.
Yeah.
All students will graduate.
Will graduate. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Jan, for sharing all of these amazing stories about your students and the hard work and the effort, and also how you're creating this environment where success is the expectation. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And thank you for everyone who tuned in to listen to our Ignite Project podcast. Thank you for being here with us today.
Are you fired up? You can continue to fuel the fire by connecting with us here in Teacher Engagement. Every month, we host virtual all-teacher seminars, and we also have ongoing programs designed to support teachers wherever they're at in their teaching career. Whether you're a new teacher or a teacher leader, there is a way to get plugged in. Follow us on social media at TeachEngagePCPS to see all that we have going on. Let's keep that spark alive and join forces with others who have chosen to stay ignited.
Thanks for joining us. You can subscribe to the Ignite Project on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, or watch online at the Polk County Public Schools YouTube channel. To learn more about the Ignite Project and other Polk County Public School podcasts, go to polkschoolsfl.com/podcasts.